Hello, everyone, and welcome to a number of Lesbian Talk. And I've forgotten the number, and I would never get it right anyway, so I'm suggesting this is number Delta.
14.
That's nearly Delta.
It's not delta at all. You even know what delta means in mathematics?
4.
No, delta means the difference between two.
I thought Delta, it was like Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta.
Yeah, but that's the
Star
alphabet.
Trek helped me.
That's the alphabet though.
But Star Trek said.
But it's the letter delta. It's not the number delta. A delta is the change between two things. Like if my boss said to me, "Well, the report that we got sent from corporate office has this, but the report we put on the system says this. Can you find the delta for me?" The delta is the difference between.
Well, Delta Airways.
Well, that might be delta as in a river delta. We don't know what they meant by that.
You know that,
Anyway, welcome to Lesbian Talk.
well, us yelling at each other and, bickering is why but most people who listen to us listen to us. The
This is,
second most common reason why people listen to us is masochism.
or that they're, mistaken and are like, oh, it's gonna be hot lesbian action. Oh wait, it's
Wait a sec,
actually just
let's
lesbians.
let's have 10 seconds of hot lesbian action over the audio. Damn, that was
That's
hot.
that's like your stock song. You sing that all the time.
I hope it's not copyrighted.
I don't think so. It's probably copyright you.
Who's me? I'm not a person.
Anyway, so how have you been doing in the past week?
I don't know. You talk to me more than every week, so you should know this question. Why are you asking questions that you probably already know the answer to?
I'm asking for the audience. I'm, trying to,
Why does the audience care about me? The audience needs to know these things. Wait, that doesn't work.
yeah, that doesn't work at all. But so our word from last week, which is probably ripe with controversy, is Alleluia, which is one of the forms of Hallelujah, which is an invocation of praise.
I want Harley Quinnalulia.
That sounds like something you'd find on YouTube.
That would be like a really, really brilliant Batman the Animated Series fan film, where it's like she's like a nun and she is killing people. Nuns kill people, right?
No. Nuns
It's a
just kind of be.
I don't know. I've seen the movie, big nuns with big guns, or is it nude nuns with big guns? And those nuns killed people.
Yeah, well, those probably weren't real nuns, though.
They were all lesbians too.
Then they definitely weren't real nuns.
Aw.
Sorry about that. Actually, I did know one nun, and she was old and mean and bitter, which is
Oh.
apparently par for the course, I guess, if you're a nun. I see. When I saw as I saw Sister Act, and I was like, oh, I want to be a nun for like an hour. And then I was like, oh wait, no, I don't.
Yeah, you've totally got to be homophobic and shit.
But but Whoopi Goldberg wasn't homophobic,
Whoopi Goldberg is very not homophobic.
and she played a nun. And the girl that played Sister Steve on Father Dowling Mystery, she was an awesome nun. She like all sorts of fought crime and shit. Well, okay, fought crime with detective reasoning.
Did she fight? Did she fight crime? Did she fight the crime of homophobia?
No, that was never mentioned. Usually it was murder. In fact, always it was murder.
So she might have been a homophobe.
Yeah, but it never really came up, so we'll forgive her for that. But
Well,
I
you
have,
can forgive her for that. I might not.
that's true. Although I have been in a lot of Alleluia, praise the Lord kind of situations. Usually not of my own intent. It's always one of those, how do I get myself into these situation kind of things.
Like what?
Like, all right, so I think I talked about it once on the stream, on the podcast before, that when I was in high school, I ended up in a Catholic youth group because I figured that Catholic kids would be nice to me and accept me because their God said they had to. That went poorly for me. But so I ended up going to this youth conference, which was, and it's kind of ironic now, in a sad kind of way. It was at the Franciscan University of Steubenville, which is in Steubenville, Ohio, the small town famous for its per capita rape.
Holy shit! I had no idea that you'd been over there before.
Yeah, I've been twice. The first year we went, it was kind of fun because our youth leader was like young and awesome, and the only people that went were me and a bunch of these really tough girls from one of the Italian Catholic schools in the city who were like tough and awesome, and they were really cool. I liked them a lot. But then the second year I went, like the first year we'd been in dorm rooms, which was really nice, but it was bigger the second year, and so we just kind of had this huge tent, and in the tent you got a space equal to the size of your sleeping bag. So you basically got as much room as you would have gotten on like, a Royal Navy era sailing ship. Like if you were on a man of war, that's how much space you would have gotten. And it was horrible because the air was like 75% mosquitoes, and all I wanted to do was go back home and LARP, and it was horrible. And it was like they did this thing and where they put the host in this big sunbursty thing, and they kind of carried it around, and everybody fell down and was chanting and crying, and it was really kind of scary, actually.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, and then this one, well, this we had it was you'll get a kick out of this. So we had to go to there were like the boy sessions that they went to, and there were the girl session that we went to. And the girl sessions were all about how guys will tell you lies to get you in bed, and why you should not get in bed with guys, you should not get pregnant. These are all very, very, very bad ideas. And this one girl, whose name I will not mention, because I don't know if she listens to the show. I haven't seen her in years, but you never know.
Plus,
She was like,
she may well work for a large chain bookstore.
huh? I don't think so. But she got really annoyed with me because I wouldn't sign my chastity card. And she's like, "No, you have to sign it because then you could just get in bed with some guy and get pregnant." And there's this little bit in the back of my head thinking, "Honey, I don't think that's that big of a problem with me. I don't exactly think I'm in danger of getting talked up by a guy."
Now, was that because were you being self-deprecating, or was this because of the lesbian?
No, this was because of the lesbian, totally. That
Okay.
was kind of around the point where I figured, yeah, don't think I'll ever be sleeping with guys. Yeah. And but this was pretty ironic because she come to talk about ended up getting pregnant by a friend of mine's brother, and out of wedlock. And her mother said, "All right, well, I'll forgive you, and I'll help you raise the child." Because her parents were very, very, very Catholic, but you have to dump him, and she wouldn't. And so her mom's like fine and threw her out. And unfortunately, she didn't end up losing the baby. But I found her on Facebook several years ago, and apparently she has a young son. She's still with the same guy, and they're married, so it did work out well for her in the end. But she wanted us to go to confession. It was like 1,000,000 at night, and I just wanted to go to bed to breathe in mosquitoes, so I could wake up the next morning, we could go home, and I could go home and LARP like I wanted to. So I just wanted the night to be over with. It was like midnight. This whole like crying and screaming and wailing in tongues had been going on, and I was exhausted. I just wanted to go to bed. And she's like, "We should go to confession," and I was like, "Oh, let's." It's like if someone says, "You want to go out for pizza?" Yeah, we go out for pizza. And someone says, "No, let's drill ourselves in the eyeball." Oh, just let's. So
Well,
this
it
wasn't,
depends what you drill yourself with.
I guess, but like I don't. I know that you know a lot about Catholicism through movies, but like at St. John's, which was the church that I went to, it was the confession boxes. So you could go in and you could tell the priest by their voice. So like you could like modify your voice if you wanted to get away with it. So if it was like, the Monsignor who was old and doddering and you didn't really care, be like, "Father, I totally lied and did all this shit." Whatever. But if it was, there was Father Efren, who was this young, like, Filipino priest who was, like, all hip and with it and everything, you'd be like, "Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. I did some sinning things and totally isn't me. Okay, bye." But this wasn't like that. This was a tent. This was the reconciliation tent. And I had to go in there, and so you just had to sit with the priest, which was even worse. And I was annoyed, and it was horrible, and they had citronella candles in there, but they weren't doing shit about the mosquitoes. So I was sitting there, and I was tired and frustrated and angry that I had to be there, and I was like, slapping mosquitoes like every 5 seconds. And the priest that I got looked exactly like Santa Claus, but he had a very thick Irish accent. And he goes, "Okay, so why don't you tell me about your sins now?" And I lost it. And this is only the second time in my life I trolled a priest in confession, but I just lost it. And I said, "Oh, forgive me, Father. I lied to my parents 3 times this week, and I didn't do my homework, and I said that I did to my teacher. And also, I think I'm falling in love with a friend of mine who's teaching me how to do witchcraft, and I'm getting really good at it." Which technically was true because I was falling in love with my best friend at the time, who was a neo-pagan and was teaching me how to do witchcraft. And he was shocked. Like, I think, he just wasn't expecting that. So he kind of like blinked and he said, well, that's, any power that you think you have, it's not really power. It's power from the devil. So, I know that you love your friend, and it's good to love your friends, but you should just keep it like sisters. So why don't you go say 10 Hail Marys and an Our Father, okay? All right. God go with you. And I was like, all right, Father, thank you. And I felt bad. I felt really bad for trolling him. But I lost it. Like, sometimes you get to that point, you just lose it. Hallelujah.
Oh,
Praise
that's
the Lord.
brilliant. That's brilliant. I remember a time I met with the leader of the Baha'i Faith, one of the leaders, and
Leader of the whole world, or just in your squadron?
no, one of the leader, one of them.
Like the Pope?
There's 9 of them,
Oh.
and I met one of them, yes,
Oh.
and they're like a council,
Oh.
and I was asked what my name was, and just for no reason I can work out, I decided to lie about what my name was, and I
What did you
did.
say?
I can't remember what name I used, but I just decided I just lied about what my name was, and they just went on. It was entirely pointless.
No, it's okay. I do that sometimes. Like, I don't know why, but I have a real hard time lying to people like that I know. But I have no problem lying to strangers.
I did something similar with I met the Dalai Lama, and I did the exact same thing. So I think I have
Not
this.
meet the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yeah, when I
Why
was
didn't you
young.
tell me this?
It was years ago,
What?
and I lied to them. I can't. I think it was like about. It was something really really stupid, like the weather or something. But I lied to them.
Dalai
I
Lama probably wouldn't mind you if you lied.
I just have I apparently have this thing. If I meet world leaders, I have to lie to them.
Mm, That's a really, really, really interesting Fey ban, then. I could just imagine that, like, meeting the Dalai Lama and not asking, like, what do you think is the secret to happiness? Or how do you think that I can find peace? It's like, I'm gonna lie about the weather.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you?
No. I lie about stupid stuff. Like, I lie to get myself out of situations. Like, I have, quote unquote, my brother. Now, I don't have a brother. I have a sister. But people in retail situations don't know that. Like, I went into the store that looked like it had all these cool smart toys in the mall. But I took a real quick walk around and it was like, toddler toys. I was like, oh, there's not like awesome science toys for me. So I walked out. And the guy was like, well, that was a quick trip. And I didn't want to say, yeah, you don't have anything that interests me. So I was like, oh, well, this all looks like it's a little bit, older for the person I'm shopping for. And he's like, well, how old are they? I'm like, oh, well, my niece is only like, 6 weeks. And he's like, oh, we have toys for blah, 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 and things and stuff. Because I didn't want to make him feel bad about his store. So he brought me over to all the little teeny baby things. He's like, well, there's this and there's this. And so then I just had to keep it going. I was like, yeah, I mean, my brother, I'll ask him about it. My sister-in-law, she's kind of like, oh, well, only developmentally appropriate, and I'll take some pictures and text them. And I did. I took pictures and pretended to text them to my mom to extract myself from the situation. And my brother, my quote-unquote brother, has come in handy before because years ago, and I was up for a job, I had to go take a drug test. It was a pee test. And, of course, I'm as pure as the driven snow, but, you always want to make sure just in case, because
I don't know.
I
I've seen some driven snow that wasn't very pure.
well, like they say with antibiotics and stuff, and I've been real sick that summer, and I've been on amoxicillin, so I knew that they sold over-the-counter drug tests, the same kind that they have, the pee test for. So, they had them at Rite Aid, and I needed detergent anyway. So I went to Rite Aid, and there was these two old ladies that were working there. And I said to the one, I said, you carry drug tests, right? And the woman says, yeah, we do. Back here, back this way. And so she's like, well, this one is for just marijuana, but this one is for marijuana and cocaine, and she listed all these other ones off. And I'm like, oh, I think I just need one. She goes, oh, okay. And she wasn't judging me. Her voice was fine. I could have just bought the product and moved on, but of course I had to open up my big fat mouth. And I said, yeah, my brother, And she's like, oh, what happened? And I'm like, well, my mom caught him smoking again. My dad said if they caught him smoking again, they're going to send him to military school. And so my mom, she's got him and the stuff that he was smoking. And, she sent me out, to buy a test and everything and stuff like that. And, he's a good kid, but I think he's got a chance at college, but he's just got to get his head on straight. And she's like, oh yeah, I understand. And so I browsed around for a while, and I got some Tide detergent, and they had the little mini Hershey cups. They were on
You,
sale, so I
you
bought a
are
bag of them.
you are constantly world building.
I don't know why I did it. And then so I went to pay, and so she rang me up, and she's like, oh, God bless. I hope everything goes well with your brother. I'm like, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. And I don't know why I did this, but I did.
Because you're obsessively world building.
But I'm not a liar though. Like I
Oh,
have
you're a world builder.
trouble lying to my mom would always be like, "Did you do a thing?" No. Look me in the eye and say that. I didn't do. I totally did it.
Now, I'm a very good liar. Um, my younger brother, who of course plays Teddy in my reviews, he's one of the few people who has a decent ratio of working out when I'm lying. Because whenever I lie, I tend to lie about things that are insane. But I also tend to say true things which are insane. So it makes
You
people
do. Like
really
I can
hard.
never tell with you.
Yeah, I'm very good at holding a straight face when explaining, weird shit, regardless of whether it's true or not.
So that just makes I can just imagine you be like, "It's totally a thing." I'm like, "I'm calling Colin." You're like, "All right, it's totally not a thing."
Well,
Sorry.
he has a decent record, not 100%.
You're like an enigma wrapped in a euphemism.
That's a very good way of putting it.
That's just you in a bundle. Wow, so we went from praising the Lord to trolling priests to lying to strangers.
Sometimes world leaders.
Sometimes world leaders.
Well, that's very necessary.
We're getting all religious. We're gonna have ourselves a rapture. Probably.
Yeah, last night when I was trying to sleep, I was coming with the logical problems about trying to do a good Rapture movie because I said, probably not on this thing, but this podcast is a thing now. That I would love to do a good Rapture movie, as in a movie set around the Christian Rapture. The Rapture. Not all Christians believe in the Rapture, obviously, but it's set around the beliefs of the ones who do believe in the Rapture, but good. And unfortunately, when I was thinking about it, there are a lot of problems with trying to do a Rapture film that's good because it is at the base of it very Lovecraftian.
That's true.
You got people in the middle of between a fight between two eldritch abominations, but unlike Lovecraft, which is difficult enough to film because Lovecraft almost never really works well in film if you keep it pure to Lovecraft.
Well, I mean, Lovecraft never works. I mean, literally, he very seldom described anything.
Yeah, that's why it's very difficult in film.
That's why it's more scary.
And some of the Lovecraft adaptation films I think are great, but they're not exactly accurate to the books. So with the Rapture, you've got these eldritch abominations, but you've also got the added problem that you never even come across what's happened. The Rapture is necessarily something that happens to other people if you're a character in a Rapture movie. You're not, you don't have a story of what happened to the person after they got raptured. So,
Well, what you could do though is you could do and this would have to be very irreverent, but like in heaven, the battle continues.
you could, but then that wouldn't be accurate to the beliefs of the people.
Oh, who cares about them?
Well, if I was going to do one, I would love to do it accurate to their beliefs, but because the thing is, their beliefs, the scenario, the scenario is horrific. You got the people who are left are the playthings of these eldritch abominations, but there's nothing ever you see.
I know how you could do it, and it would be heartwarming too.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like a ragtag group of house pets after the rapture. It would be like Homeward Bound, but the end times.
You could do a kids' film version of it.
Yes!
That actually could work as a film, yeah.
That would be so great.
I'm surprised I'm surprised that no Christian movie company has done that. But
OMG.
But if you're going to do one that's showing off the horribleness of it, it's really difficult because everything that happens doesn't happen to you. You can't see God. You can't see the fact that they're the Antichrist. It's most people, well, the character in the film might, but almost no one else does. So it's very difficult to dramatize and personalize. Almost everything will be stuff that you are told. You have to take people's word for it, and that doesn't really work in film.
That's true. Or you could do it from the point of view of someone that doesn't even, believe in any like Judeo-Christian faith, like a Buddhist or or a Hindu or something like that. Who are just kind of they're like, why is everyone freaking out? Oh, because the rapture's come. I don't believe you. Where all these people go? It's probably a government conspiracy. Like someone like the world is breaking down around them because all the Christians and Jews and Muslims are going crazy, and they're like, what? This is stupid. Where's your proof? I don't believe it. It
You
was
see,
probably a plague.
that would be like part of it, but it would be very difficult. Though I
Yes.
think if I was going to do a Rapture movie, I would probably have the main character be someone who was a Christian, but just not a Rapture believing Christian, because according to the set of beliefs, the people who aren't Rapture believing Christians will not be raptured.
But that doesn't really make sense though, because it says like pretty much everywhere that all you have to do is believe in Jesus and you're good to go. Like adding the rapture later, kinda, no, I don't buy that.
Well, I'm just thinking the beliefs as done in the by the Rapture believers.
But where did the rapture even come from? Because it's not even in the Bible. I know like some guy wrote it in like Mormon
It's
times.
it's a Victorian invention, but
Oh,
it's
those
a absolutely
wacky Victorians.
it's a fascinating relic of this sort of era of Christian thought. But yeah, it's absolutely not biblical. And ironically, most of the ones who believe in it are incredible biblical literalists. But the only way to do the rapture story correctly and sanely is to have the god of the rat who's caused it be treated as a monster of some sort. And there is one film that does that, and it's called The Rapture, stars Mimi Rogers. Unfortunately, it's got almost nothing to do with the actual quote unquote beliefs of the rapture. It gets almost everything wrong,
Hmm.
but it treats the subject the right way, if that makes sense.
We've probably, I think some enterprising listener will work out exactly what percentage of this show, not just this episode, but this entire show, we all spend talking about the rapture.
I don't know if we talk about it that much. We
Seems to
talk
come
about it.
up like every other week.
No, we did a previous one where I talked just generally about rapture movies,
That's true.
but this one's more talking about the problems of dramatizing one.
Well, you could make it like pull it off as like a totally Lovecraftian kind of thing, and only at the end reveal, oh, I was talking about the rapture the whole time.
It's
Just
possible.
saying. See, I'm a font of knowledge. I should be making movies full time.
Yes. Font that knowledge. Oh yeah.
Wah, wah, wah. So, anyway, Alleluia. Praise Kippers.
Kippers never talks.
Well, he's sleeping right now.
I want Kippers to talk.
Well, he's sleeping on the couch. Actually, he's sleeping on the chair, I lied. I mean, I could wake him up, but I'd have to walk all the way over there and put all the equipment down and then pick it all back up, and he might not even talk, he might just bite me.
Meow.
Kippers! Now he's opened his eyes and looked at me like, what is wrong with you?
He thinks you're a silly head.
He probably does. At that. But yeah.
But he's a badass cat.
He is, he's huge. My parents' dog apparently is a little bit bigger than Kippers.
Ah, that's cool.
Yep.
The new dog, Geordie?
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet him.
He's working out pretty good apparently. Although my mom says he's afraid to go outside. He doesn't like going outside.
Hmm.
Well, she's hoping that will change when the weather starts to get warmer, because they were told that he and his brother were abandoned in Philadelphia in early January,
Hmm.
and then they were picked up, and they ended up for some reason, I think the Phoenixville Rescue Association has a thing with Philadelphia, so that's how he got out to Phoenixville, because Phoenixville is a no-kill shelter. And so, yeah, the only part of his life that he knew that was wild was outside in the cold, so he might associate cold with being on the street.
I think he'll be okay. He's a really adorable dog. He's half pit bull and half bulldog.
No, he's a half boxer, half bulldog.
That was it.
He's got a cute little face.
He's not the sort of dog that I prefer, but I think he's adorable.
Well, I don't like dogs that are too small. Like, my neighbors have this Chihuahua puppy, and it looks like a rat. I mean, quite honestly. Like, my sister's dog, although he was a puppy, he will get bigger. And see,
I
now Kippers has come up on the couch.
I liked Midas.
Yeah, my sister has a dog that is half Russell Terrier, half Chihuahua. Although he doesn't have any Chihuahua-like features, which is good, so.
He's just a very small, like, golden retriever.
Yeah, almost. Although,
I hear purring!
yeah, he's purring. I was about to be like, oh no, the purring will be picked up by the microphones. If you hear purring, it's because Cooper's just come up and I'm petting him. Here, we'll have a special close-up. Purro vision. He's sniffing the mic. There we go. He likes to sit, when I'm in my big green chair, he likes to sit on the edge of it, so he's kind of on my shoulder.
Aww.
Are you going to talk today? He's looking at me like, what? He'll talk when he feels like. He knows that you love it best, so.
Because he's a good cat.
Oh, but you know what? It's in a few minutes, it'll be time for Nanowar, and what were you just telling me about Nanowar, honey?
Oh, yes. Nanowar. Now, this I didn't realize until I saw it on Gato, who is the bassist and the boss of the band's his Facebook. Because we're Facebook friends, name dropping, yeah. But apparently, Nanowar are involved in an Indiegogo for an adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a video game, and looks like it's going to be a side scroller, but it's called Epic Metal Knights, Love and War, and Other Nonsense. And
Bet there'll be skulls.
Nanowar are going to do the music for it, and they're trying to raise money for $7,500 so they can produce the game, and I think it's really exciting, and I'm sure that some beautiful person who is editing this will put the URL into the video so people can check it out.
Why, surely I will. How many days do they have left to make their goal?
Well, it's about 29 now, but this will be up next week, so about 22 by then.
Okay. So you should totally go and kick in, and then you can help bring Metal Skull video games to children all over the world. Deprived children who don't even know what Vikings are.
They don't know what Italian Vikings are.
I mean...
Prego!
Rape and pillage and prego. Oh my gosh, your friend would freak out if he knew what I put on my pizza last night.
Yes, Gato would, most likely.
Oh, so I had the best of intentions. I wanted crab pizza from Pizza Bully, but pizza's full of calories and stuff, and I'm like, well, I can make my own pizza, and I'll make it healthy, and I went to the grocery, and so I got the pizza shell, which you can get, like, the whole wheat ones, and they're of negligible calorie and fat. I'm like, alright, that's cool. And so they had the crab meat, the Phillips stuff, that's usually, like $11.99 for a container of it. It was on sale for $8.99. I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Pizza is pretty expensive anyway, like $15-16. So, and I had some fresh mozzarella, that I use because fresh mozzarella is very low in saturated fat. It's very good for you. I like it. I had some peppers. I had some banana peppers, and I was like, well, this is great. I got a can of tomato sauce, just tomatoes and vinegar and spices and onions, no high fructose corn syrup, nothing like that. I'm like, this is going to be great. And I get home, and then I realized that somewhere between my basket and the receipt, because it wasn't on the receipt, my tomato sauce vanished. So I had a can of tomato paste, so I actually had to make the tomato sauce. So I put this whole thing together, and I had taken the crabs, and I had mixed it up, the lump crab meat, with Old Bay seasoning, because the crab pizza from Pizza Bully has Old Bay seasoning involved, and that sat in the refrigerator for a while. And so I put all this together, and I baked it, and it smelled good, but then the fishy, awful taste was horrible and overwhelming. So I choked down like 2 pieces, and I put the rest in a Ziploc bag in the garbage, so it won't smell, and then I kind of threw up, so.
Yeah, your experiments with cooking half the time are not working out very well right now.
No, that's true.
But some of them work out pretty well. Your Chinese and your Indian stuff have been working out fairly well recently.
Yeah, well, the Indian I didn't really change much, except I didn't use as much oil as they did, and then I put it over rice or pasta. But the curry was from actually a fellow PME producer, Justin, aka Juwario, has a series called You Can Cook This, and I watch it for tips. Like his new video is how to chop an onion. which is good because I always make a mess of it.
Well, can you cook this?
Actually, all the stuff that he's done, yes, I have been able to cook this.
Well, that's good.
I found out that really the only thing I would need to go to the Asian grocery for is the dashi powder, the fish stock. But everything else I can get at Giant, including the curry roux.
Well, if you go to the the place, what's the word? If you go to the Asian grocery again, you must get some prawn crackers.
Okay, I will. Well, I got that weird basil seed drink to give to Brad Jones if we ever meet him.
Oh, that sounds cool. I'm sure he would find that
You guys,
incredibly.
I'll try to, if I remember, I'll try to put a picture up of it. But so, guys, if you can, Google basil seed honey drink, and you'll find a picture. I showed Hagen a picture, and she immediately shouted, "Oh, frog spawn!"
Just like that.
Exactly like that. So, also another thing I'll have to do is lie to strangers at the Asian grocery, because all the little Korean ladies glare at me, and I'm afraid because I don't belong there, because all the signs and everything is in various languages, and I feel bad because I'm white. So I try to affect an Eastern European accent.
You convinced that you're, you know, some sort of racial appropriation.
I feel bad. I feel well, no, because the last time I went, I felt good because there was some other white folks there, and there was some black folks there, and I was like, okay, all right, so it's not too bad, and I didn't get glared at that much. So I just try to get through there as quick as possible and just get out because I feel terrible. And then so the guy who rang me up, he was just in a, like he didn't even talk to me. I put my stuff in like, oh, good morning and things and stuff, and he didn't even say anything. He started scanning stuff and just tossing it down the thing. He just did, and like I know that I didn't buy any Pocky at the time, but like I know that he was thinking, you stupid Pocky eating otaku. Oh yeah, Asian food's so trendy, isn't it? And I was like, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make curry. But then I
I
found
found
out.
that.
Hmm?
Yeah, I found that quite weird. When I was there with you in the Asian grocery, I was just like, da 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 da. And you're all like, ah, white people aren't supposed to be here. And I'm like, I'm not white, I'm foreign.
Because it's a bigger deal over here. Because you guys, people will just, like, of all nations will come and it's fine. But, like, I have issues. I have a lot of guilt.
Well,
I can't watch Pocahontas without feeling really bad about the Native Americans, and it's all my fault.
well, although I was being tongue in cheek with my comment there, I not being an American, obviously I'm white, so when I'm over there, I get all the white privilege, but I get a little bit less privilege than you because I'm not actually an American. So
That's
I feel less guilt about going in there. Like, not that I feel guilt about some of the things over here. UK, the food is very, very how do you describe it? Not segregated. So I got no problem with that going in and getting anything. But if I was in your position, I'd still feel a little less than you because I'm not an American.
that's true. You know who else aren't Americans?
Nanowar.
Exactly.
Hello, everyone. We are back after listening to some epic Nanomore. And because this is the first episode to go up since it happened, I'd like to apologize about episode 11.
We're sorry.
The Nanomore song had to be removed because of YouTube's copyright thing, even though it was actually not a cover of a song, it was a parody.
So if you're listening to the Lip version or the iTunes version, you're probably fine. But if you're watching this on YouTube, sorry that had to happen, everybody.
Yeah, it might be fine. I don't know. I don't know if the PME didn't mention having to change it anywhere else, so we don't know. But yeah, apologies about that.
Mea
Was
culpa.
that was Master of Pizza, wasn't it?
I don't know.
The Metallica parody.
I have a dirty secret, honey. I don't actually listen to the song. I just put it in the file.
I can believe that. You don't like heavy metal.
Well, also, when I'm trying to, I mean, it's a separate sound. I edit the sound separately, and then I put it, overlay it with all the images and stuff like that. So if I'm not gonna waste time listening to a whole entire song, like, okay, file inserted, there you go.
It's fair enough. I wouldn't expect you to listen to the whole song. Why would...
There's probably skulls, so we're good to go.
I do not recall Skulls ever turning up in a Nanowar song, to be honest.
Now I want them to write a song just about skulls, and I'll be like, see? But
I tried to convince them to do a whole album parodying black metal, but they refused to do it because
they said it's
uh,
racist.
no, black metal is not a racial
I
term.
know, I know, I know, I know. It's
Yeah,
being
but for the audience, black metal is actually there's a lot of racist black metal fans, but they tend to be white. It's very, very sort of Nordic. They wear white and black makeup. Not actually minstrel related.
like
It's called
Kiss.
Kiss style makeup, yeah. But
Lol.
Kiss aren't black are nowhere near black metal, but they were probably one of the influences on the look.
Oh.
They wear a lot of leather. They have like spikes. They have ludicrous black and white makeup. They like to quite often think about this Satanism is quite a big recurring theme. So are things like Vikings and sort of native beliefs, as in the ones from North Europe tend to sing about like Viking beliefs and stuff. It's usually very, very ethnically and culturally nationalistic, which unfortunately a lot of white people who are into that also have a big overlap with white racism.
Racism, everybody.
And but it's really hilarious when you have black metal bands who are say African or Middle Eastern or Asian, and then you've got the white people who are fans of it who are racist bitching about them or saying such things as black metal is white, and it which makes irony meters explode.
Wow.
I like black metal, but it's got a seriously nasty undercurrent to big parts of it. But the ironically the non-white stuff is actually quite is usually better than the white stuff.
Hmm.
Can be confusing. Anyway,
So it's just about that time for Giovanni's trivia fact, and Giovanni is really, 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 really happy because he has his own title card now, made by the wonderful creature SH. It was in last episodes, which will be being posted later on today, which is later on a week from today in the
yeah.
future.
And Creature is one of the bosses of the official Demon de Hagen fan Tumblr.
Do 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 do.
And occasionally does Photoshop from episodes. And he invented the action figure of Hagen.
Mm-hmm.
He's
And
got,
the throne.
yes, and the Teddy action figure. I really hope that one day there gets to be an Omega action figure.
That'd be pretty cool. They'd be like, I'm an action figure. I'm awesome. But anyway, Giovanni, are you with us today? You bet I'm with you, boss. How are you doing on this fine Palm Sunday?
Palm Sunday?
Yeah, it's Palm Sunday. Because next Sunday's Easter. See, lobsters, we keep up with that kind of stuff, even though it doesn't involve us personally. So today's trivia fact, I thought we'd play it a little bit exotic. So, Bangkok. Stop laughing. No, the city. Bangkok is actually not really the city's name. It's just a nickname. The city's actual name was pretty long and it meant City of Angels. But Bangkok was the area where all of the workers and the poor lived, and that was the one that actually caught on. Much to the leader's chagrin.
Yeah,
So Bangkok. Fuck the man.
Yeah, Bang is a Thai term for village or something like that. I've got a really cool movie called Bang Rajan, which is about the Thai versus Burma War in the Middle Ages.
Oh, you've been to Thailand, haven't you?
Yeah, I spent about a month there several years ago. Absolutely loved the place. It's really expensive to get there, but once you're there, and if you've got dollars or pounds, it's actually comparatively cheap. Really, really, really good country to visit. I spent a month there, and my parents loved it so much they go back every year or two. Whenever they can, they go back to Thailand.
Oh.
If they had the money, they'd retire there.
Hold that thought, and we'll get back to Thailand.
Okay.
Thanks, Giovanni. Nice seeing ya. See, it goes so much easier when you guys aren't trading insults.
Fuck you, Giovanni.
He can't hear you now. He's playing PlayStation. So now it's time for a segment of the show called One Time at the Store. As many people know, ever since 9 years ago yesterday, I've worked for a large chain bookstore. I have seen it all. It's been weird, funny, horrible, horrifying, and sometimes everywhere in between. And this is one of those times. And sometimes you just get a person that just doesn't get it. And it's not that they're stupid or they're unintelligent or they're ignorant or anything like that. It's just that they never stop to consider the fact that there's a world that exists outside of them, or that the world is concerned with things that are important but not important to them. Like, we get a lot of people, especially we get on Sunday afternoon, a lot of students coming in with basically, yeah, I'm writing my graduate thesis on this really obscure topic, so I need a book about this really obscure topic. You don't even bother rolling your eyes because you know you're not going to find anything in the system like, oh, sure, let me just check. Well, gee, nothing's really coming up. And they're all like, what? How could there not be a book about this specific thing I'm writing my graduate thesis on? And I always want to say, because you haven't written your graduate thesis yet? Maybe if you write it and then write the book, there will be?
Did you get Owen Citizen as a customer?
No, I did not. Well, he's not writing a thesis. He's filming it.
That's true.
So that doesn't really count. Do you have a DVD about my graduate thesis?
Do you have a copy of the movie I haven't made yet?
No, there are customers that have asked that kind of thing. Like, I had this one guy that came in once, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey, you know Rachel Ray?" I'm like, "Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of books by her." Honey, if you don't know, Rachel Ray she's on the Food Network, and she
wasn't she the one who got in trouble on Fox for wearing a keffiyeh in a Dunkin' Donuts advert, and it wasn't actually a keffiyeh?
I don't know, I don't remember, but I mean her recipes are pretty good. I found them to be, and we carry many of the books. So I was like, oh yeah, it's over here, and he's like, oh well, hold on a second before we leave the info desk. See, I want to know if there's a specific recipe. I want to know which book that's in. I'm like, well, you might need to go to the internet. Because I don't really have a way to search that from here. I mean, if you wanted to take all the books and page through them, you can do that, but I wouldn't be able to tell you which one. And he goes, yeah, well, her new she had a new show on last night, and she had a new recipe, and I want to know what book it's in. And I was like, so, she had a new show last night that debuted a new recipe. And he goes, yeah. And you want to know what book it came from? He goes, yeah. I said, well, sir, I mean, if it's a new recipe, it's not going to be in any of her books yet. He goes, but I just want to know what book it's from. I said, well, sir, the books aren't wireless. They don't update
Kindle
overnight. I mean, it's not like, oh, 2 new updates to the cooking section, and we press a button and it downloads. That is what I wanted to say. But I didn't. Or we
sorry, could Kindles be wireless? Could Kindles be wireless?
You mean Nook?
Well, Kindle or a Nook.
Yeah. Well, no, they are. I mean, they download the book wirelessly, but it's not like, Rachel Ray got done filming and then went and updated her book. I mean, books don't even ebooks don't quote unquote update. A new edition will be put out. But
I think updating books the way that you're describing, though, that actually might be something that takes off in the future.
That would be pretty cool, but it wasn't happening 5 years ago, which is when this guy asked about it.
Oh, that's true. That was before even Kindles and Nooks existed.
Yeah, or I mean, we just get some people who'll come in, like this woman that came in. She's like, you know what? I'm looking for books to read to my kids, and she wasn't a parent because a parent wouldn't have wasted my time like this. She was a teacher, and I do love teachers. I know a lot of them, but some of you guys, I don't know what's going on with you. And she's like, I'm looking for books where it has a theme where it's a cooperation. So which describes pretty much every kid's book ever, and I'm like, well,
except for that one kid's book that Ayn Rand did.
Probably, but I was like, well, I mean, cooperation to do a thing and blah blah blah. She's like, just cooperation in general. I'm like, let's go back to the kids section. So the first thing I thought of, and I don't know why, was the version of Stone Soup that's a Caldecott winner. I said, here's a good example. It's Stone Soup. It's a Caldecott winner. She goes, yeah, no, that's not really what I'm looking for.
Well, that's the story about the guy says, I can make you an amazing soup, but you just gotta give me a stone, and then, it needs this, it needs that, until it's an amazing soup.
Yeah, because it was, I think it originated, the idea was soldiers were occupying a town, and the soldiers didn't want to be there, and the townsfolk didn't want them to be there, and the soldiers were out of food. And the townspeople, they came to the townspeople and said, we need food. The townspeople were afraid they would just seize their food, so we don't have any food. We're starving too. And so the one soldier says, well, that's okay. I'll make, soup for everyone. All I need is a cauldron and some water and a stone. And then people were like, oh, well, let's see this then. And so he's doing that because they were kind of having a famine, but they still had some food. And he's like, oh, if only we had a carrot. That would make this soup really great. And one little kid's like, oh, I think I might know where I can dig one up. And it went from there. And she's like, no, that's not good enough. And I've worked for the company almost 10 years now, and I read kids' books as a kid. And everything I'm saying, Berenstain Bears, no, not good enough, no, not really, blah, blah, blah. Finally, I was like, Thank God I got paged to go up front because I was 10 minutes late to cover someone's break. I'm like, ma'am, I have to go, but if you need any more help, I'm sure there'll be someone over in kids in a few minutes. Bye. And literally made the cartoon takeaway noise.
I've never understood the stone soup story because, as far as I can tell, the moral of the story shouldn't be look at us, we can make something amazing by coming together. It should be the guy with the stone's a fucking liar, and he made us waste our vegetables with his magic. That's a piece of shit.
Well, no, because at the end, the soldiers didn't want to be in the town, and the townsfolk realizes that at the end, so they all came together and realized that they had nothing to fear from one another, and they all ate the soup.
Yeah, but the soldier still lied and claimed he had magic, and the people wasted the food that they had in order to make this magic happen, which was terrible.
I guess.
So this is just one of the alternate interpretations of a famous story. Like there's the really beautiful one from Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, where Garak has his alternate version of Peter and the Wolf. Not Peter and the Wolf, the little boy who cried wolf. What it means, and his suggestion was that the moral is a child should never say the same lie twice.
That's a good point.
It's a very Cardassian way of looking at things. I love Garak.
Although Peter and the Wolf always struck me as pretty dark, but then again, the Russians.
But now shall we continue with the adventures of Thailand?
Yes, I know you've been chomping at the bit, so go ahead.
I just really like Thailand. I assuming that it's possible, I would love to take Omega to Thailand, show her around. I spent a month in the island of Phuket. Beautiful place. Which is Phuket's the only part of town that's an island, and it's surrounded by the Andaman Sea, which is, and you got Thailand on one side, and then miles and miles the other way you've got India, and you've actually got you got Andaman Islanders and stuff. It's really, really cool. They have a really cool zoo there where you have giant life-size statues of dinosaurs for some reason. Which is just really
at the zoo. Well, no, because they did at the New Orleans Zoo.
Did they have like a giant statue of a T-Rex made out of concrete?
Yeah, remember we took a picture of it. Well, it was made of crocodiles, but.
Well, they have crocodiles as well in the Thailand one. They have an aquarium inside a giant statue of a crocodile, which was really, really cool. It's They also had we went to basically what was it was called the Cobra Show, but it was basically
it's the Cobra Show. That's what it makes me think of.
It was basically a zoo dedicated to snakes, and they'd have this live show, which is honestly terribly Victorian. In the let's make animals do things that would be probably illegal in Western Europe.
Look at this bear. We're going to make it dance with the application of hot coals.
Not quite, but with this one it was just also crossed with things like snake charming. But
then we're going to salute the Queen and get on a ship. Victorian, go us.
But the Cobra Show, you had this guy was doing these stuff with cobras, kissing them and getting them to do the snake equivalent of dancing and stuff.
Oh, did he get them to chase after G.I. Joe?
Not quite, but
1 point for me.
You had the commentator guy, because they had a commentator yelling in English, over a microphone about what was going on, and saying such things as, "This is a very dangerous snake. 5-minute bite, you die." And
was there like a wall between you guys and the snakes?
Nope. Then
I'm not going with you.
Then the guy picked up the snake, and he was all like, "Check this one out. This not so dangerous. 15-minute die." And then the guy holding the snake would take the snake over to the audience, and he had a wonderful time freaking out this entire family of people from Saudi Arabia. And the women were running away as fast as they could.
Well, of course, we only have their word that these snakes are actually dangerous. They could be like the common Thai snake, and they're just
entirely possible. They also had in the Cobra Show
It's the Cobra Show. Sorry, I just want to do that.
They had what was it? God damn it! I've lost my train of thought. They had some really cool things. One of the really smart things that the Cobra Show had was in its zoo section, you had the really important snakes. Were like, these are badass important snakes. Look at these. These are really interesting. And they had all these snakes which are a lot less interesting. And they mention as part of the tour that the ones that aren't so interesting, they're the food for the more interesting ones. They just decided to double up they just decided to be intelligent by having all of the food for the snakes be exhibits until they're going to be eaten.
Wow, that wouldn't play so well in America.
It's really really clever though for as a money saving thing.
That's true.
The Also they had a really really good aquarium and orchid farms and stuff there as well. And
Wasn't there that nut place from Bizarre Foods?
yeah, the nut place, the cashew place where they do a lot of different flavors of cashew juice and stuff, and
No innuendo intended. I totally want to go there and eat those nuts.
they had cashew apple juice as well, which I found vile, but my mum loves it. She buys a huge amount of it when she goes over there because cashew apples, they go off very quickly, so you can't really send them anywhere. So they're only really available where they grow, and she loves buying some bottles of cashew apple juice, even though I hate it.
If you guys wonder what we're talking about, there's the episode of Bizarre Foods where he goes to Thailand. I think he goes to Phuket, right?
Yeah, he goes to Phuket, and about a third of the places he goes to, I've been to.
There's a place where he goes to. He talks with this woman who runs this. They have this cashew place. They've got a bajillion million flavors of cashew, and just see if you can find it on YouTube or on like Netflix or Amazon or something to watch. You'll want to eat those nuts too.
The woman that he talked to, that's the woman I met when I was over there.
Oh, you met her? I didn't know that.
I was sure I mentioned it.
You probably did, honey, but that was like such a long time ago, and I've got a headache, so there you go.
They also went to there's Wat Chalong, which is the biggest temple in Phuket. Now, a Wat is basically Thai for temple, so it's Temple Chalong.
What do they believe in Thailand? Are they Buddhists?
Primarily Buddhist. So Thailand has more Muslims than probably the rest of South Asia combined.
Oh.
But it's primarily Buddhist. Yeah, Thailand's the only country in Asia that at no point was quote unquote colonized by Europe.
Oh yeah.
This is possibly one of the reasons that Thailand still has pre-European attitudes to sexuality, which is why like the Katui, the ladyboys, for instance, are the same sort of cultural ideas actually existed all over the world, and but they were pretty much stamped out by white people and the Victorians and stuff. But Thailand's a fascinating place. I went to see a Katui show. It was the Simon Cabaret. I was there with my mother at the time. Well, she's still my mother, but it was. I was there with my mother, and I wanted to see a kickboxing match, and I wanted to see a ladyboy show. Now, she wanted to see neither of these things, so she decided, we decided between us that we would see one of them, and she would choose. So
I can see your mom be like, "Oh no, no."
But she wanted to see so she decided the ladyboy show. So we went to see the Simon Cabaret. And she enjoyed it so much that when she came back to Thailand with my dad, that she forced him to go to the ladyboy show. And
no offense, honey, I can't imagine your dad going to the ladyboy show.
He didn't want to see it. But then, as soon as he saw it, he was talking to people at the hotel, telling them to go to see it. So it's like a bizarre version of Ring, where it's like, you must see the ladyboys. I don't care if you don't want to see it, you will want to see it.
So that's the same thing as we would say going to see a drag show.
It's like going to see a drag show. It's similar. It was like an hour and a half with lots of costume changes and different people and different settings and stuff. It was imagine a drag show, but almost none of them are actually drag queens, because ladyboy is it's a term that actually includes a lot of different groups.
Okay.
You got just camp gay men, drag queens, transvestites, cross-dressers, transsexuals, all would come under the term ladyboy. It's so it
sounds like Ladybug. Like you would think that like they would get to have special umbrellas with ladybugs on them. I think.
Well, they have, but the show. So it was like an hour and a half, and it's a big theatrical thing. So it's a bit like a Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. And my dad liked it. He liked it so much he got other people to go. It's much. My mum explained after she saw it, it was a lot less sordid than she expected. I think she was expecting some sort of a bizarre, I don't know what she was expecting.
Like a sex show?
Possibly.
Like Amsterdam or something?
I think she possibly was expecting that.
I don't want to go to Amsterdam anymore because apparently they don't let foreigners smoke. So, not that I would ever do such a thing, as I am pure as driven snow.
If the driven snow smokes a lot.
Mm. No, I would. No, well, no, because you're supposed to. Like, my cousin Jesse, right?
I believe I met them at Christmas, but
Yeah, you did meet her at Christmas.
they're not one of the ones that I would be able to, you know by name yet,
That's
because
fine.
it takes me several meetings to know people. Although, I do know, several of your family by name now.
That's true. You do. But you met Jessie briefly. Now she has like a PhD in art history and all these. She's done like a billion things in Europe. So she went over to study in Amsterdam for a while. And the next time I saw her, I think it was at Easter, that year when she came back, and I said, "So, Jess, I heard you were in Amsterdam studying." And she goes, "Yeah, you know what? It was such a beautiful city, and it was so inspirational, and see all that old art. It's amazing. You should totally go." It's like, "Yeah, so, so how was it? How was Amsterdam?" She's like, "Well, I mean, everything, and we would just get, like pastries in the morning and then go biking." And I'm like, "No, I mean, how was Amsterdam?" And she was like, "Oh, it was great," and walked away. And I was like, "Oh,
She doesn't understand.
no." But apparently you can't. Well, I've heard that pretty much like a lot of like Indonesia and that area is really tough on drugs.
Yeah, most of South Asia is, yeah.
They don't put up with no crap.
Yeah, it's I got the feeling that at least some of that is sort of, leftover stuff from the white colonials, because I know that, different types of drugs were entirely legal until the Victorian era or something. But, a lot of drugs were legal over here in America till the Victorian era-ish as well.
Well, I saw this thing about meth, and apparently like meth pills are really common in Thailand. Like it's just like a thing you do to get your work done. And I was like, and then they cracked down on it, and everyone got upset.
So I didn't know anything about meth, but when I was over there, the Parliament was discussing making video piracy illegal.
Hmm.
It was apparently very controversial.
That's so hilarious.
Yep, because you can just go down the street and then there's suddenly about 15 people, selling DVDs, like new DVDs, just out in the middle of the street saying, "Hey, do you want this new film that's just out in the cinema? You can totally buy it." And having seen the copies that, that were available there, the quality was DVD quality.
Really? Like, 'cause usually bootlegs, like, it's, some guy has a camera in their coat view of the movie.
Yeah, so it's unexpected, but the quality, these entire, in the country at the time, entirely legal DVD bootlegs
Hmm.
were perfect quality. I suppose because it's legal, they didn't actually have to like smuggle a camera in. They probably just got to copy the print and put it into a DVD.
That's a pretty good point. Shows you, Hollywood. Anonymous wins.
And
Fatality.
one of the really cool things, I was in one of the big shopping centers,
Hmm.
and it was probably about half the size of King of Prussia, but they had a cinema there, and they had a regular cinema, and we were looking at them. None of them very interesting, but then they had like it was called the executive cinema or the exclusive cinema or something. So me and my mum were like, we have no idea what that is, but we're going to try it out just because of the name.
You're pretty lucky. It could have been like, an adult cinema.
No, they said what was on. So, there were two films that were on there. So we went to see Transformers, Michael Bay's Transformers. That explains when I was over there. And so we saw it, and it was the best cinema experience we've ever had, not the film notwithstanding.
Hmm.
It was, how do you describe it? Okay, you start off, you get a lobby before you go into the film. You get waiters coming over and giving you free food and drink. You've got newspapers, in this lobby with piped in classical music and big, leather sofas. And then you got your own cinema, screen. There's only like 20 people are able to go into the cinema. You've got these massive, like, sofa lazy boys each. And these waiters, coming in and out and, giving you complimentary food while you watch the film.
That's pretty boss.
Yeah, and it was the equivalent of about $10.
Huh.
Shows you how cheap Thailand is. Thailand, it's extremely expensive to get to, but once you're there, cheap as fuck. And one of the good things in it is you have two prices once you're there. You got price in Thai, which is less, and the price in English, which is more. Their reasoning is if you're an English-speaking person who gets to Thailand, you can damn well afford to pay slightly more for the same product.
Or if you take the time to learn the language, you deserve it for your effort. I can deal
And
with that.
yeah, I thought it was entirely fair, considering the equivalent of about $2 at the time. I managed to get 2 bottles of Pepsi and uh, two ice creams with chocolate ice creams. They're called cornettos over here. I can't remember what they're called over there. They're the sort of
Drumstick.
drumstick. Yeah, it's like two of them and two bottles of Pepsi for like the equivalent of $2.
That's pretty good too. All right, honey, if we can ever afford it, if things ever work out, and if we ever get to see each other for a few days at a time, we totally should go to Thailand.
You would love Thailand. You know,
But are there
there's
bugs there? Because I don't want to deal with tropical bugs.
it's like Florida.
No, I don't want it. I don't
Well,
like to sweat. I don't like bugs and
well,
scorpions and
remember,
wasps.
one of the points in Thailand when you're traveling around is you stay inside as much as you can. So like everything's like air conditioned.
Oh, okay. I can deal with it.
So, even like, regular taxis are air conditioned, so you just go in as soon as possible. You spend as little time as possible out.
I'm a big American wimp. Sorry, guys.
But there's incredible the obvious income disparity. Like in the West, you're used to going through areas where you've got rich people and areas where you've got poor people.
Hmm.
But in Thailand, you can like go down a single street and then you got like mansion, shack, shack, mansion, shack, mansion, shack, 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 mansion, mansion, mansion.
Wow.
It's it's bizarre. It's like, wow, you got no you got no segregation between the rich and poor living side by side. Odd.
It is. But do you know what time it is?
Giovanni's trivia fact.
No, it's dictionary time. Although I do want we should probably come back to talking about foreign places again at some point.
Yeah, I could do that. I've been to a
Oh,
couple.
you know what I didn't do? I was supposed to tell that story about the Chinese cabinet. Next week,
Oh,
everyone.
yeah, I remembered the end of the dead shit commentary when we said that we would talk about it in episode 11 and we never did. So we'll
So
do
next
that.
week, it is the story of how I got my Chinese cabinet.
Yep.
Wah.
And if people want, I can give information about Israel this time because I've been there as well.
That's cool.
I've been
I am.
to
Hmm?
I'll give you the list. Israel, Italy, France, all the countries in the UK, for about 5 states in America, very briefly Singapore, Israel, Thailand. I think that's all I've been to.
I went to Canada 2 times,
And
and
you
and
went to Ireland.
I've been to Ireland and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, because they're two different countries.
Because damn it, I'm counting them as two different countries.
Oh, well, they are. But I've been to New York and I've been to Florida, I've been to New Orleans. That's considered one country, while, Ireland and Northern Ireland aren't one country.
That's true.
Isn't that a
But
bit odd?
it is odd. I am holding the Oxford American Dictionary. Do you know what that means? Audience?
Giovanni's trivia time.
No, it means you have to pick a page, honey.
17.
You said 17 last time. That's how we got Hallelujah.
Oh. 217.
All right. Okay. I went past it. All right, one or two.
3.
There's not. Don't be difficult.
17.
No.
2.
All right. Out of 20.
17.
What is it with you in 17 today?
Same thing as me in 17 last time.
Escort. One or more persons or ships, etc., accompanying a person or thing to give protection or as an honor. A person accompanying a member of the opposite sex socially. Escort, to act as an escort to.
Interesting.
So, we will be escorting you guys through your next episode of Lesbian Talk. Oh,
Do you think they'll like it?
probably. They'll have to. There are fans. That's the point. But anyway, I've been the Omega.
And I've not.
You've been Diamanda Hagen.
Have I?
Yes. We'll see you next